And I think there's a snobbishness with reading books. They are a bit outdated. They're a little bit like playing the spoons and tap dancing and the theatre. They were good once, but things have moved on.
The head's not quite on the right place. That's his little issue that he's got to work on for the moment.
My apartment smells of rich mahogany.
Look, I'm all for innovation, and I advocated putting a scrum half in the line out. It sounds great, but it's bollocks idea, really.
Hello and welcome to Under the Sticks, a podcast brought to you by the Pro 14, where we endeavour to deliver authoritative opinion, actually no, half-baked opinion served up as authoritative rugby analysis. We're in giddy form today. There's Christmas hats on, and it's Dean Budd's final show before he gets sent to New Zealand.
That's a sad moment for me, that's for sure.
The end of an era.
Great for the rest of us, honestly. It's grand. You're just taking up a lot of space there, buddy. Right.
Big old head.
Big old head. Big
shoulders.
Is Dino's last one in? So if you're in on the comment section tonight, and already some regulars are coming in, be kind, be gentle, or be harsh. He's put in a lot of weight over the last few weeks. He's left a lot of spuds around the place. So here we go. Sean Holley, that's very interesting headwear. How are you?
Good, thanks. I do actually have an array of Christmas headgear. It's just like
You surprised me.
I'm party MC in the Holley household every year, Christmas and New Year. So I have to sort of reinvent myself all the time. I've got headgear, I've got all sorts of glasses that flash, and I've got all sorts of masks and fancy dress. It is a little bit like the generation game in the Holley household Christmas time. So we're starting to ramp it up a bit now.
Paul Williams, Rudolph, how are you?
I've got a bit of a problem because you can't see the full. It just looks like I've got growths on the top of my head. Like bone growths coming out the top. But I am wearing reindeer antlers. But I am very well, thank you, Andy. How are you, dude?
I'm in good form. Christmas t-shirt on, Christmas hat, snowman in the background. Regulars are in. Howell Davis, Ian Gilbert, hi from Madrid. James O'Brien, best of luck, Dean. Julian Lyons in the Algarve. That'll be nice. Rugby Mun Glasgow. We'll miss you, Dean. There's a lot going on here tonight. Let's get emotional. We'll have to stop that now. What are we going to be talking about tonight? Do a quick rundown. We have the Heineken Champions Cup of Champions is back. European games, we enjoyed them a lot. Not too many fans. There were fans where they were allowed, but there was a lot of excitement, which after coming out of that test window, I think we all needed and deserved. Cheslin Kolbe, a lot of excitement. Look away, Jacob Stockdale, dazzled Ulster. Steff Evans, there's a lot of hair. It's exciting hair, and it was dazzling. And that was a very good performance. We'll be talking about Scarlets winning Bath. Clermont, there's a lot of basketball at Ashton Gate. Clermont put on the points, but it all got a bit crazy. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how the different competitions did last weekend. And as super producer Adam Redmond has said, the testy tactics in the Stade game in Paris.
I like what he did there.
Yeah. At the very end of the show, because it does not deserve that much more time, 32 months out from the competition, it's the Rugby World Cup 2023 draw. That was thrilling. And then perhaps our favourite memories of Dean from the show or various calendars he's done over time. Right. Here we go. We've got some gossip coming in straight off the presses. I didn't even tell him about this. Jamie Lyle with a scoop. Adam Hastings to Gloucester.
Paul Williams. What a move.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was talk.
Clearly, that's not supposed to be out.
Yeah. Another tenner off the wage. Just denuded. Yeah.
That's a scoop.
There's a big scoop. That's a good move for Gloucester. There was talk of Jared Evans being on their radar as well, wasn't there? But I wouldn't have thought that would be happening now.
So it's big. So we
frustrate me. They frustrate me. I worked at Gloucester. couple of years I was at Hartpury and then at Gloucester, the Academy, the United, worked under Dean Ryan, Nigel Melville. They had a real Gloucesterish feel about them. They won the title and they were pushing. You look at them now, it's just a waste of brilliant fans, I think. They're just never challenging anymore. The Shed are fantastic. The support is so loyal. It's a hotbed of rugby. And they just flatter to deceive all the time, And there's a few sides like that in that Gallagher Premiership. So I'm a bit gutted, actually, for Danny and Glasgow, because they need Adam Hastings. They've lost Finn Russell. They need Adam Hastings. He's coming now. He's playing regular rugby. Oh God!
I know. Do you know what though? We had a little private chat on the weekend where we were watching stuff, and you were right about Glasgow that they still haven't replaced Hogg. They haven't replaced Russ. They haven't replaced anybody, and the chances are they going to be able to replace Adam Hastings now? So
Johnny Gray, they haven't replaced Johnny Gray.
Johnny Gray's come out as well. So you're looking at 4 or 5 British Lion-y standard players there on you. Then they just haven't. Not that they haven't bothered replacing them. They haven't got the money. You can't replace them.
Okay, this is where we go straight into the weekend's rugby, because if you're talking about Glasgow not replacing things, they were nil. They were nil at Exeter, and Exeter were already heavy favourites. Exeter are a fantastic rugby team. Rugby team. But still, Glasgow are a decent team. And to go down 42-0, that's big news, folks.
If there's one team you don't want to play in round 1 of the Heineken Champions Cup, it's Exeter Chiefs away. I listened to Rob Baxter during the game, and he wasn't just content with the bonus point. He was saying this could come down to points difference. I want to nil Glasgow. We want to score more points, and that's the mentality and the culture he's cultivated there. And that's not the same for all English teams. They didn't perform on the weekend. Exeter did, that's for sure. And I just love everything about them. You can see why Hogg and Johnny Gray go there, don't you? If you want to challenge for big titles, then that's the team. They're the ones to watch, them and Leinster.
And there's so much more than a pack. I think a lot of people, when they hear of Exeter now, they think of Exeter like 2 seasons ago, where it was all just a lineup more, which they've still got. But now with Hogg and Simmons at 10, and they get, like you say about Baxter, they get the most out of players who you just don't think are going to do an awful lot. Just to look at Woodburn and players of that on the wing, they're not household names outside of the English Prem, but the way they perform, unbelievable.
But that just comes from culture, 100%. I mean, I think back to the Crusaders, and every Crusaders winger, if he was in any other team, you think of Caleb Ralph, for example, who became an All Black. I didn't even the list is long of just Canterbury Crusaders wingers who just sit on the end, finish clean tries because they're set up so well, and that's all they need to do, and it just skyrockets them into teams. They're special down there, Exeter.
Yeah, they are special, but as Rugby Mum Glasgow says in the comments section, as a Glasgow fan, I am not in a good mood just now. You'd have to say it. So where do you come back from this? There's we'll get to the fixtures next day, but against Leon, that's.
But you know what I would say is, right, if you are going to play Exeter and you haven't got a big ball carrying pack, which Glasgow have, and don't give them, 15 plus penalties where they're just going to kick in the corner.
Yeah, the thing is though, Paul, it's easier said than done. Danny he said it during. They talked about it all week. Don't give them field position because through penalties. But when guys are battering you, you have to stop them somehow. And people like Ryan Wilson are trying to get over the ball because they want to slow it down because they've got an all-code game. Inevitably, you're going to give some sort of penalty away. And then, if it's not Simmons kicking it to touch, it's Hogg for distance. If it's not Hogg, it's Henry Slade on the other side with his left back. It's pretty awesome what they've developed there.
Yeah.
Right, where are we going next? You go, Dean, and then we'll move.
Just wondering how big Adam's reach is here, because I've just seen 2 friends come in on the comments. He said there may be a few friends pop in, but I'm not sure. Orla Pittman, Mike Pittman was a sevens coach at Munster and a good friend of my brother's and myself. And clearly moving back to New Zealand, and Alessandra Florida was my first Italian teacher in Italy. So,
oh, really?
yeah,
Blimey.
and it's the first time I've seen her come in too. So
And
Adam's
like
got some
Q
balls.
on James Bond. That's what Adam
He is.
He just somehow hacked my friends list and has just sent it out there.
He's not plugged into the Matrix. He is the Matrix.
Okay, back to Friday. Okay, because we kind of skipped forward to Sunday, but Friday we had a couple of games. The first game, because it didn't involve any Guinness Pro 14 sides, we won't spend a lot of time on apart from one thing, right?
Oh, I know what this is.
Northampton Bordeaux was one of the worst games at the top level you'll see for a while in terms of excitement. But my God, what a finish.
Yeah.
And it involved a Sean Holley special off the post. And what happened?
I bet you were sick on your lap when you saw that happen when they didn't chase that ball, weren't you?
Yeah, well, thing is, it can happen. I wasn't, a great player, but one thing I did all the things that didn't require talent. I'd run and try and charge down every conversion. I never got one, but I bloody scared a few kickers. I know that, and I would chase kicks. Because, sometimes there's lost causes, yes, but you never know what can happen. I remember at Bristol, we had a massive game up in Rotherham, a playoff game. Nicky Robinson kicked the ball. The wind caught it. It was falling short and right of the post. McGeady, the number 8 who plays for Northampton now, caught it before it landed on the floor and scored the try.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. Anything can happen. And as I said, it's amazing the percentage, how high the percentage is the ball will strike a post or a crossbar in a game. You've seen it now because you're looking for it now, haven't you?
I have. Well, you mentioned that doing Super Rugby.
Yeah.
When we were doing our watch-alongs, and every game now it happens. Every time I watch it, oh, my God, it's hit the post.
That Rugby League finished the other night in the grand final where it
happens all the time in league.
It does.
So they got their reward for chasing it up, and that's that.
It was a great play, but I tell you what,
you can quote me on that. A lot of people will back that up.
There's a lot of stuff in sport that does not actually involve talent or require it. It just involves effort, right? Yeah. And this was one of those where you saw someone on one side, i.e. Cordero, just doing everything you want your fastest player to do. Follow up, be like an arrowhead for that ball. And you know what? If it bounces to you, great. 99 times you'll never get there. More, 900 times you won't get there. But if you are the Northampton coaching staff and you're looking at the video from behind the posts, oh man, you're going to give your players a roasting because they were all looking at.
They just looked at each other.
Your ball, your ball. No, it is not your ball. It is we're going to take each other out going for that ball, and that guy in the opposition shirt is getting nowhere near it.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh man, it was the best part of the game though.
I tweeted about it on Friday, and then a couple of North Saints fans were saying, how many ways can we lose games? That they're running out of options of how you lose.
Yeah, those are the ones that kill the fans. They just suck your soul right out.
Yeah,
right. But then we got to really good stuff. Okay, Friday night. Then the Heineken Champions Cup actually really kicked off with Ulster Toulouse, McGeady available for motivational halftime team talks. Inquire within. Well, it depends on the mood I'm in. Ulster Toulouse put me in a really good mood because
it was
and the conditions were terrible.
Yeah,
really, really bad. Ulster storm out to a lead with an incredible try. That Madigan try, I put it up with anything scored this season so far.
Really good.
And then unfortunately, Toulouse come back in. Dean, you're a large human. If you had someone like Kolbe on a wet day like that, chipping the ball over your head, and you're having to go, oh, I have to turn and catch him. What's going through your mind?
Hammy. Your hammy just gets real tight.
Pull up tight.
Yeah. You hit the deck and ask for the physios, and that's the game done for you. He's some of those tries he scores. We had him when we played South Africa in the World Cup. Just he is phenomenal, and you just look at him and you think, God, I could get like you can reach him. He's that small, and you could grab him and just. Mm-hmm. I don't even know how how you tackle him at some point, just because he just does magic things. I saw him quoted as saying he doesn't even know what he's doing half the time. It just happens. It's like, what a phenomenon.
But you know what? You've got the added problem now, of course, of taller players panicking about taking him high anyway. Right, so it's not just before where you think, right, I'll just have a go at the chest and neck, and if I can get him down, we'll see what happens. Now you're nervous. You've got to be bent. Somebody like your height, you'd have to be almost bent over double to tackle him at the chest level.
It's just a guess. I mean, going to Andy's 99 to 900%, those kind of we're somewhere in between there. It's just a massive guess which way he's going. Because some guys you always go, oh, watch his left, and he always comes off his left, but he goes both ways, and you just look like a fool. Unfortunately,
no, it's
Poor
bad.
Stockdale. He's had so many incidents like that, and I think Kolbe's done him a few times as well.
Yeah, I've seen him do him twice. When you end up, he looked like a picnic blanket on the floor. It wasn't like he was anywhere near him. It's like he just rolled out and lay on the floor. It's unbelievable.
An even better bit was for that second Kolbe try when he was actually still on the ground on his knees. Just him shaping to go, puts the cover defender off. And he just goes, I'm just going to run forward now. Grant, thanks very much. The talent of the guy, it's you're right. It's the fear of what he might do actually helps him at this stage. But when you look at the talent that Toulouse team have, to have both him and Dupont in the same team, and even before he scored that try, Dupont was just given a masterclass out there. He is such a talent. We don't need to spend a huge amount of time on it. But Sean, when you have a couple of players like that in the same side, it's almost unfair.
It is unfair. Or almost you can get it wrong by selection. So for me, you got Intermac playing 12. Now, clearly the best halfbacks in world rugby, possibly over this last year, have been Dupont and Intermac. So you can end up shuffling the pack a little bit. Why? Well, maybe they thought Ramos was a better goal kicker. It didn't really shape up like that, did it? So you have an embarrassment of riches. You have to stick by your guns. I can't remember whether Intermac moved to 10 later in the game. I don't think he did. I think Ramos stayed on. But yeah, you can. It's the same. It's the same in other areas, isn't it? By the way, I thought Faumina, for a massive man, there was one step and pass he did in a build-up. Oh my God, I was thinking, that's absolute class. This is 135 kilo sort of bloke, And
he jackled really well as well. How do you even bend over the jackal at that? It's unbelievable.
What's Takori? 37?
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. And that tells me that, because sometimes you look at French teams and you think, they got a sprinkle of real class and talent. But some guys are journeymen. They don't like travelling away. You didn't get that with Toulouse, did you?
No,
they are. You can run them off the field, and that didn't happen with that.
No way. When you go to Toulouse, right? I don't know if you've ever been involved in a big game. It's like going to Rolls Royce. You know what I mean? You're not going to a Peugeot garage or a Ford or any other well-known. Sorry, there's plenty of nice, but it is going into.
Ollie's after a new car.
Top end. It's going into. Everything about them is like. Oh, I always said, I said to Alan Wynne years and years ago, if you're ever going to move, I only ever want to see you go to Toulouse. I don't want to go anywhere else, I'll be happy if you went to Toulouse, but nowhere else or nothing at all. So, they ooze class. And to go to Ulster, we're on fire at the moment and give them a good dig, didn't they?
Yeah. Can I have a moment to talk about Ulster? Because Ulster, they went out to the lead. There was a fantastic team try, again, in terrible conditions to score the Madigan try, and then could have got a real fright from what Toulouse had done and the way they did it, roaring back with those two individual tries, and then come straight back with another punch. I was really impressed.
Yeah, me too. But you were talking about Glasgow playing all court. Ulster are now an all court team, I think. They can do... they've got a good pack, good line out, good maul, and now they've got a back line that can mix it up with pretty much anyone. I was really impressed with them on the weekend, even in defeat.
It's very good. There's one comment we will get to later on from D. McCallion7, who thinks the fielding of youngsters next week is a joke from Northampton. We will get to that later on. Just store it up right? Store it up. Next game we're going to get to Bath Scarlets. We're
Good
getting there
game.
now. Bad
Great game.
kits. Can I say they were very bad kits? Right. That all grey thing was nothing for me, right? But yeah, it was a good game, and Scarlets played really well. Hell of a finish, Paul.
It was hell of a finish. It was really weird because the guys on BT watching it, the commentators, I won't mention names, were almost hell bent on the Scarlets not being given that try, and I just couldn't see the issue with it. I thought they played really well, though. I thought Steff Evans, I don't know whether he's ever going to get back in the Welsh squad, but he's been playing so well the last few weeks. He played his guts out on the weekend again. Callum Mahoney, I mean, what a signing he's been. He's almost like the Scarlets. Myler, they looked old and they were a bit like, God, why are they buying those guys? What a difference he's made. I mean, he's arguably the best ball carrier the Scarlets have had since like Ben Morgan and David Lyons. He's changed the way that the Scarlets play. So I was really impressed. And, to win away against Bath in that competition, that takes some doing, And Scarlets look like they're coming back. They've been playing well the last 2 or 3 weeks. Now they've got the test players back. They can score pretty much from anywhere. Bit of confidence, and they could do reasonably well in that competition. I'm not saying they'll get to the semis and beyond, but they look different than the side that finished last season. Let's put it that way.
Steve Lewis in from the comments. Jack Morgan stood toe to toe with Underhill. Is he the next big name in Welsh rugby?
I tell you what, he's the next big back. Have you seen his back? He's like a manta ray.
No, he's been really good for a couple of years. He played for a few seasons at my club, Auvergne. I like to think that he really developed there. He's West Walian. He's a Scarlets boy, but Auvergne has stood him in good stead. He was excellent, and he has been this season. Underhill, we know all about Underhill, but I agree with Paul. Unbelievably, I thought the Scarlets were deserving of winners. I don't like some of the undertone around the English game. As you know, I worked and played a lot in England, and it's when you get to European weekends you start to see, right? There's a level of, I think I know what the word is, but I don't want to use it.
Arrogance.
But you get your comeuppance then, and I mean, like Bath felt they could just drive Scarlets over. Scarlets schooled them in their maul. They held them up and all day. Yeah, Falato and ball going off was a little bit of a leveler. And I get it. I tell you another thing, Paul. It wasn't on BT Sport. It was on, I think it was Radio 5 or something like that. They said that Bath had 2 disallowed tries. No, they didn't have disallowed tries. They never scored the tries to be disallowed. One guy was short and the other guy was held up. Guess what? That's not a try.
Yeah.
And so for all their huffing and puffing at the end, the Scarlets deserved to win. They did. They scored some great tries. So, thoroughly deserved. Great game, on the wreck, great stuff, and rubbish kits.
They were rubbish kits. I love the way McGeady always spots the kits.
I don't know why. They jumped out at me.
I know.
Dean.
No, I'm at 3 counts for Sean Bagg in the Prem now. It's 3.
That's going to get higher too.
Or only at, 30 minutes in, there is 3 solid digs at the Prem so far. And rightly deserved.
I got another one to come. I got a statistic to come. Don't worry.
Okay, when I want to come back to, I want to ask the comment section to weigh in here. Julian Lyons, do you think the commentators are influencing TMOs? Julian, don't know what you mean. Interested in what you're getting at, but expand on the point. We'll come back to it.
Is he saying that the TMOs can hear the commentators live?
They will be able to now because it's crowdless.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Possibly.
No, I think even with crowd, Paul, right? Some production companies, the TMO is sat.
That's true. Sharing
pretty
the wagon.
much in the truck, right, in the director's booth, where it's all going on. It's like Star Trek, and the producer, the associate producer, the director. Not so obviously the commentary is coming through. It's human nature, right?
Yeah.
As a commentator myself,
sorry, I'm actually I can't keep a straight face because you're giving a really serious point while
I'm making a serious point because as a commentator, you're meant to be impartial and you call it as you see it. All right. So I dread to think if there was a commentator out there knowing that the TMO can hear what you're saying, trying to influence. For example, if you're a French commentator and you're doing a French side against a Scottish side, I dread to think if he's trying to influence the TMO.
Yeah.
If you're calling it as you're seeing it, and you're legitimate and impartial about that, and that influences the TMO, well, that's down to the TMO, isn't it? But it is human nature, you know.
In that example, the French TV producer will never find the footage anyway, so we'll move quickly on.
And I don't think there's an impartial commentator out there. Sean, you may be alone.
Oh, thanks.
If you've ever heard the Aussies or the English commentator game, they've written off every other team before they've gone on the field. So,
Yeah.
Feel free to jump in the comments section. Saturday continued, Montpellier and Leinster. I did not see Leinster having this quite so easy.
No, mate. That was the shock of the weekend for me. How easy that was.
Yeah, and easy might seem a bit flippant, but if you weren't watching this game, Montpellier were never in it.
No, and you tend to think of Montpellier as having a big pack, one of the bigger packs in that division, and Leinster were matching way more. It was, like you say, it wasn't a walkover, but I wasn't expecting it to be like that. That was
especially when you see, and it was a couple of teams did this where, instead of loading up all the internationals, James Ryan, Jonathan Sexton, okay, he had to pull out, but he was named on the bench. Cian Healy, like, no, we're actually going to trust, the Rhys Ruddocks of the world, etc., who have been absolutely tearing up trees in the Guinness Pro 14.
Yeah,
so keep going, lads. You've been doing well. And they just continued like a nice smooth engine purring along down in Montpellier against a big side.
It's good to see Leigh playing back like at full 100%. He looks like he's back ready to rock and roll, that boy.
Stop the bus, boys. This is Leinster.
I know that. I know, but
hang on. This is for all those doubting Thomases out there about the Guinness Pro 14. Leinster aren't up against much this side and that side. No. You've just seen why. Andy's really articulated that well. They've built a culture and a squad. They're excellent in what they do and go about their business. This Montpellier side went to Clermont last week and beat them.
Yeah.
Not at Clermont seconds. They went to Clermont and beat them in the top 14. And then they come home and you look down their list of 23. Leinster back their system, back their players, and go and pump them in the backyard. Sorry. This is a real deal team. Leinster Exeter final. Let's just do it tomorrow.
save the messing.
Can we have Dean to comment on some scandalous accusation in the comment section? Jake Pellegrini.
They're all in now.
Just before I give that up, there's I think I've heard some inside word that Rhys Ruddocks recently single, and that's why he's come into some of the form of his life. And so that's news that you just don't get anywhere.
Firing warning shots.
Big input.
Oh, very good.
Ian McKinley asking, can we have a Bud appreciation segment for 10 minutes? It'll come. It's going to come towards the end. The Last Dance for Dino. So Seb Negri. They're all in, my friend.
Half the Italian squad in that comment section.
Will you really miss Dean with his minimal input anyway? That is
so cold.
Cold. Cold. So Leinster are good. Perhaps we knew this, but still, I was surprised with that.
I'm surprised with the emphatic nature of it, but I'm not surprised Leinster won. I'm not.
Julian Lyons, Montpellier are 3 from the bottom of the top 14. 2 of the teams they beat were Brive and Agen, 13th and 14th. Okay.
Fair enough. The league's only just started. You can't really, it's.
Yeah, no, it's fair comment. Next up, Dragons and Wasps. Okay, Dragons back in the big time, back in the European top level competition that it is. This was actually surprisingly close for a while. And I don't mean that. Sorry. Actually, I'll rephrase that, because Dragons have been playing some really good stuff. And when you had that lovely try with Robert steaming down the left-hand side and a lovely little flick, you're going, hey, this is on.
Yeah.
It's a game, unfortunately, that I missed, but I've, as Ian will probably come in on his comments, I've really kind of grown to back the Dragons have become my underdog team. So I was really, I was really cheering away for them, but yeah, unfortunately, couldn't pull through. Wasps have still got a little bit going on. I mean, they're on the. I mean, they haven't really been performing Premiership wise, but I'm sure come Europe stuff, things change and mindsets change a little bit for some reason. It's a bit of a fresh slate, so probably they're targeting that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the big thing we're able to reframe what the Dragons are now, because they are genuinely competitive again. So I wrote about them last week in the column. There it is. There it is. You've got to plug the column.
Stop the sweepstake. 31 minutes.
Get the numbers up. But you think 5 seasons ago, you couldn't have put the Dragons in the Heineken Champions Cup. That would never have worked. But they are now genuinely competitive. And they had a lot of players pull out before kickoff, due to COVID-related reasons. There were some big changes that took place in that squad. And they were competitive, and they did as much as you could really expect them to do with those changes, actually. I must say I was really impressed with Jack Willis for Wasps. He's something else, that lad. And it really makes you think about all the options they've got in England in the back row. When you're watching it, oh my God, Earl, Willis, and they're on the fringe. And then you see Underhill, just like the human tin opener.
Yeah.
It's, but I thought the Dragons did really well. So they're moving in the right direction, Dragons. And I think it's a permanent move in the right direction, more importantly.
Hold on. Sorry. I opened up the wrong window. That was my bad. Ewan Davies, Burberry will be the next big thing for England. Insane at junior level and will be incredible. Paul, you're nodding.
That boy is like a legit ball carrier. Weapons grade. He was fantastic. And how old is he? 21? I think maybe 21, 22. Yeah, he was there. Yeah, he was very impressive, must say.
You got Alex Donbrandt at Harlequins as well.
I know, and he's not even in the picture now, Donbrandt.
I mean, talking about Thomas Young. I know he's Welsh, but
God.
Yeah, they got plenty of depth, haven't they?
They've probably got 4 British Lions in that back row, haven't they? Probably 5.
British and Irish Lions.
British and Irish Lions, sorry. British and Irish Lions. Yeah, my apologies.
Well done, Howie. James O'Brien gets the Eagle Eye Award. Just noticed and loving Dean's tiara. That is very good. You have noticed.
Spotted that.
Well done.
It's a crown.
It's a crown.
Ian McKinley, again, just a bit scathing. Can Dean talk about another team apart from the Dragons? You are a bit one-eyed when it comes to the underdogs, my friend. Keep dancing around the Guinness Pro 14 sides in the Heineken Champions Cup. Edinburgh, La Rochelle. Edinburgh lost 13 points to 8. Sean, will Edinburgh be disappointed? Or, La Rochelle were favourites going into that.
Yeah, but La Rochelle have been a little bit up and down recently, and I think Cockers would have fancied this one. It was too close to call, really. The bookies had it fairly even. I think Edinburgh with a point, and it turned out like that, didn't it? And you looked at the Edinburgh side and you thought they had enough.
Yeah.
But that's the trouble with having, European weekends. Again, Deal will know this. Straight after an international window, is that you get a couple of training sessions. Yes, they've been with the squad before and so on, but they've been missing for, 6-7 weeks in a bubble. So it's not a lot of time. You could say the same about La Rochelle, although they've had a lot of the French players back. I just think it's a missed opportunity. They never really quite got there. La Rochelle just sort of kept them enough at bay. And again, having been there, you lose your first game at home. I know the pools are different now and complicated, but you lose your first game at home. It really knocks the wind out of you. It's a massive game of catch-up. Not to say they can't do it, because a couple of weeks down the line, Edinburgh are capable of winning away. But it is a massive dent. They'll be gutted.
Yeah.
Can we talk about one thing before we even go any further?
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about games. There's one thing that happened in a game this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
In Paris.
It was a ball game.
I'm really hoping for some inside information here from anyone in the comments section or anyone wearing a tiara, right? Because for anyone who didn't see it, there was an incident in the Benetton Stade game where a Stade player decided to use a very unique and horrible way to get Leonardo Sarto away from the ruck area, and that's because he grabbed him in his own ruck area. And then Sarto walloped him, and it was red cards all around. There's going to be a ban coming. Dean, any comment?
Well, first of all, the word walloping is just way out of line. That was
okay. There was a handbag.
There was one of the worst handbags I've ever seen in rugby.
Yeah, fair point.
But yeah, I actually know the French guy, and he said he didn't find anything down there. So I don't know why Leo was so angry. The whole Italian stallion thing's a massive rumor.
Dino's going out swinging.
Sarto owns the handbag factory. But
great.
On a serious point, he's going to get the book thrown at him because if
He
you
could
look
get
back,
a big ban for that.
Six Nations, we've have a very recent past incident where Joe Marler gives Alan Wynne a bit of a tickle. Alan Wynne somehow just keeps the straight face, does not react. We all saw how he really felt in the press conference after the game. But man, there's at least, what did Marler get? 10 games down from 12?
He got 10, yeah. I think it'll be 10. You can't grab people by the nuts. That's never been a part of the laws. It's not something that's just changed like high tackles. You're not allowed to do it.
That was a high tackle.
Yeah. Tell you what, we've got all of the Italian squad now on in the comments.
Tommy Allen jumping in.
Now we've got Tommy in. I can pull him out of the bus. And I'll just say, if the French boy was going for him, he would have found a couple of hands full. I tell you that.
Oh, wow! Okay, so we're going here. We're going here. Are we? So not French boy, Charlie Rourke, Australian, unless I'm very wrong. But man, Charlie, you better get all the biscuits, and they're not going to save you, my friend, because you cannot do that on the field. You cannot do that. It's not like the old days where anything went in the Pro D2 in France and anything went to the bottom of a dark ruck or collapsed maul. You cannot do that. Dennis Murray, no idea where teams like Bath, Northampton and Wasps get the confidence from.
Sean's going to love it.
In the last 20 years.
Good evening, Dennis.
Come in, Agent Holley.
Me and Dennis are like that.
Yeah, that's right up his street.
Spot on, Dennis.
They are right, though, I suppose. You know, you look at Bath and Wasps. They haven't done Northampton much for a long time.
Has Dennis not been watching any of the Brexit politics coverage over the last couple of years?
I'm just going back to the ball growing. A guy on Twitter reached out earlier and said, tagged me in saying, who's the grubbiest player I've ever come across in the Pro 14?
Oh, here we go.
And no, I just wanted to say,
hang on, where's the bus? Someone's going under it.
The Guinness Pro 14, Guinness, is honestly, I've not seen, there's been no dirty stuff in all my time. There really has been pretty legit. I think just mentioning that, like that whole French league, like you can get away with that stuff in France and the Pro D2 and things don't get quite seen. But I was racking my brain ever since I read his comment, and there's not even a name that comes close. I mean, someone mentioned Ryan Wilson. He's good for a bit of banter, but there's never really anything dirty. So, unfortunately, I can't really throw anyone under the bus on that one. I'd love to. I'd love to, but there's just no one out there, really.
I speak for my entire comment section friends. We're really disappointed in you, Dean.
Yeah,
we're really disappointed.
That's one thing I really wanted to deliver on.
Ian McKinley, spill the beans, Dino. Is that a kiss at the end, Ian? I think it's a kiss. Definitely. Can we get to Hayward?
Oh, they just Thomas Allen's thrown his fullback under the bus now.
Can we get to the Clermont game? We have to get to the Clermont game.
It was amazing. That was my game of the weekend.
That was your game of every weekend, Williams.
It was
reminded
brilliant.
you of Super Rugby from years ago.
Correct. It was
No
amazing. That was just straight up Super Rugby offloading. But it was I can't understand. You're going to say it was poor defending, but they managed to get round the edge virtually every possession, which you just don't see now from first phase in particular. Just getting around the edge, one pass and in. It was really peculiar.
Different class, mate. Different class.
Yeah, and then I couldn't figure out if it was, is that bad defense or is that just brilliant handling? And in the end, I just came to the conclusion it was really good handling, because you would never be that porous defensively. It was, anyway, either way, it was amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame they switched off, really, isn't it? You know, you'd want them to go on and really pump them, but I suppose if you get to 50, you think, oh well, it's done. You know,
I'm glad you said it. They switched off. There's about 15 minutes in the middle of the game where Clermont just were smoking fags down under the posts for the goal.
Yeah, Andy, if you remember what I said about Exeter Chiefs, right, and their coach saying, right, we shut them out, we don't concede any points. Points difference is going to come into play here. Clermont may just rule that, because at the end of the day, they won by 30. They scored 51, but won by 13. You know, and from the flip side, Bristol might, you know, pinch an away win and that bonus point and getting the points difference back might make a difference. You know, you've got to be ruthless in these competitions. You have to be.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun though. Okay, we're going here now. Are we?
I'm getting hot under my Santa's legs. Yeah, I am getting.
You know what's weird about Sean touching that hat is every time he moves it, he's effectively touching Father Christmas's testicles.
I am. I'm going to get a 10-week ban for that from Santa's elves.
I really feel as if I have to step in every time and say, lads, this is a serious business, right?
Half-baked.
Half-baked. Dean McKelly, okay, we're going here now. The fielding of new youngsters next week is a joke for Northampton. Now, we haven't seen any team yet, but the interview after the game from Boyd was fairly clear. Sean, he's like, yeah, we're resting some of the guys.
Where do I start with this? You're one game in and you're throwing the towel in, right? What's the priority? The Premiership. Oh, please. It's done, Exeter. But there are sides, right? There are sides desperate to play in this Heineken Champions Cup. They have to qualify through a very different system in a different league. And after one game to effectively, I'm not saying they're throwing the towel in, but by saying what he's saying, that's what he's doing, isn't it? Oh, we've lost the first home game, so that's the end of that. Well, I'm sorry. That doesn't say a lot for me. You know, knowing Dan Bigger as I do, he'd be dying to get back out there next week. And no, let's get an away win now and get back on track. But you know, I do get what he's saying. He wants to concentrate on different competition, but you should be honoured to play in the Heineken Champions Cup. You should revel in playing against the best sides against Europe. You should be determined to go out and put wrongs right and get an away win and get back in the competition. And our producer Adam has really got me stoked up. So I feel like I'm really having a pop tonight.
Right, that's Sean's soapbox for now. That's really.
I want to get Mr. Nice Guy back in the room.
I must admit, I was surprised that he said that on the pitch in the first interview.
Yeah, it was really weird. I don't know why you say that immediately.
I can only imagine that he was so annoyed.
So look at Harley Worthy. Harley Worthy says he agrees with Sean, but they're away to Leinster next weekend. What a game to get back on the horse.
Yeah.
Challenge yourself against the best. What are you going to do? Throw the lambs to the slaughter and say, oh, well, all the best.
Have you seen the spread for that game? Already 40 points.
40 points. Can you imagine?
Maybe more.
That's extraordinary. Anyway, let's keep it going. Right, a couple of games on the Sunday. We've already touched on Exeter, Glasgow. Munster beat Harlequins. For anyone who didn't watch that game, it was really interesting. Again, some of the guys from the Guinness Pro 14 have played so well this season. Coombs, and when Healy and Casey came off the bench, Healy nails an absolute howitzer of a penalty. BT Sport commentators are going, oi, oi. Everyone else watching from the Guinness Pro 14 lands going, yes.
Yeah,
And
that's him.
Yeah, that's him.
They played really well.
But Coombs, the way he finished that try, it's like the power such low down to do that. I know he had someone behind him, but still, there's body control from a big guy that low down. Absolutely loved it.
And I must be honest, I didn't realise he was 6'6". I always presumed he would just be like standard sort of 6'3", 6'4". He's really quick and mobile, isn't he, for a boy that size?
Big arms.
He's a monster.
Yeah. Big arms. We won't spend too much time. We talk about Munster a lot in this show. We don't talk enough about Connacht. Racing Connacht was a really funny game because after 24 minutes, that game is done. Absolutely done. Tarifa Fanua's incredible acrobat finish in the corner. Game over. Then strange things happen. It was it was good to watch.
Yeah, it's a very entertaining game, actually. And I think it just goes to show that Connacht can play, well, as they have done last season and this season. They can ball with the best of them. You know, when they're in trouble, they can score tries from pretty much anywhere. And, you know, to do that away at Racing, who probably play the prettiest rugby in Europe, arguably, them and Toulouse. Yeah, they did. I was really impressed with Connacht, actually.
They go to the end, Connacht, as well. You know, they really go to the end.
That's right.
You never get away from them. You know, that's what I really like about them. Fair play to Andy Friend. So, you know, you think of the Northampton end. Do you think 4 Connacht boys would have let that drop down the floor?
No.
Nah, no chance.
At all. No.
So, anyway, I want to see some pictures of Dean.
I haven't been able to concentrate this whole time.
He's shaking his head. Our comment section's going nuts with the Italian squad.
There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure here. Tommy Allen, Adam, show us the pic.
I was just hoping that you didn't ask me about that. I didn't even hear what game we're talking about because I'm so worried.
Oh, dear.
No.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
For anyone listening on the podcast, I'm going to do my best here. There's a large bearded man side on giving us a bit of chest. There's no clothes involved here, and there's a size 3 rugby ball just being held over there.
Size 3.
He's signed it as well. He's signed it.
It's a
Let me give us some context. This is the Italian media too. They're going under the bus right now. I was going to physio one night, and they've just called me, and I think I've actually told the story. Whatever. I end up doing this photo and didn't clearly didn't want it out there. Well, without checking it. I mean, if they had done a bit of Photoshop on the abs, I would have been fine with it. But I'm supposed to be a professional athlete, so that's just no good. But then, they've come along and it's signed because they're like, "Oh, Dean, with your photos in the magazine, we just wondered if you could sign a couple of the photos." And so I signed it. I was so filthy, I tell you.
Good. The naked images were just resting in my account. Those are very good memory.
I want to see Seb Negri's one now. Seb Negri has one. Come on, Seb, send it in.
I could do really send you something like that too, but that's probably not fair. It needs to be past midnight for that to come out, I think.
They're coming for you now, Dean Boy.
They are. Okay, let's now that we've got all the lads in, right? We're
Italian team in.
It's Rugby World Cup 2023 draw. Oh man. So firstly, 32 months out from the competition. Have we not learned?
I love the way you keep saying that. 32 months.
I kept waiting for someone to sort of go, "No, we're not doing this again. We're really not doing this again." But no, we are, with world rankings from even further ago again. But here we are. We have Wales, Australia, and Fiji again. As an Irishman, looking down the barrel of, if you get out of your group, looking at New Zealand or France, great.
Oh God,
Dean, if you're an Italian, how's that going for you?
There's not good at all.
No.
you're going to come across the 2 best teams in the world in 2023 with us, France and the All Blacks, and I don't know. I feel for them. I really do, because I mean, even a possible USA coming through. I mean, they started to show a little bit the last World Cup, and a few more years of their competition going good, they could certainly at least put a little bit of fear into the Italians too. So it's hard. And the comments out there in terms of Italian fans that I've read is that they say "Ci vediamo 2027," which is we'll see you in 2027, just because they want to finally make a quarterfinal.
Yeah.
So the fans have given up, unfortunately, but I'm sure the boys will give it everything. But it's a hard one. It's a real hard one.
The good news is we missed out on Japan, because we all learned our lesson last time. Eddie Jones happy enough with Japan and Argentina. It's looking as if that's the softer half of the draw, folks.
Yeah, I think so. I think Australia will be good by 2023. I think Fiji are good now, always are. World Cup, they're a massive, massive threat.
Hold on, I've got a really good idea for a competition. If we just didn't do a draw every couple of years. Adam, can you help me out with that?
He's looking for a graphic.
He is. Here it comes. That's not going to work audio, but just trust me. It's
yeah.
But genuinely, like, we've been here again and again, and do we have a trouble with the way this draw works? With firstly, we're going, it's too far out from the competition, and secondly, because of the way we know this is going to be structured, there's like, where's the surprises, lads?
I think that's the thing, and
yeah,
for me, nobody loves rugby more than me or watches him and so on. And look, when it comes around, there will be great games, and it will be a fantastic World Cup in France. But right now, it's sort of, it's popped my balloon a little bit about the World Cup, because we haven't long got over Japan, and it was a breathtaking match against Australia. Don't get me wrong. But it's Australia again. We play them every autumn, Fiji, well, we still got our scars from 2007 from losing to Fiji. They're an amazing sight to watch. Out in Japan, I was at the game live. They walked out. Oh, my God, the size of them, Dean. I thought, oh, my God. And they battered us physically. We did really well to win that game. But it had a knock-on effect for us later in the tournament when we played against a physical South Africa. I just think that aesthetically, I was quite hoping to see, I would like to play Argentina, perhaps, or maybe France. In France would be amazing. But no, here we are again. It's a bit Groundhog Day, and I'm sure when it comes around, everybody will want to go, because if France would be great, but just right now, it's a little bit samey, isn't it?
Yeah, like you say, in 2.5 years, we'll all be loving it and can't wait for it. It's just, you've seen it all before, haven't we? It's and it makes you realise how few nations actually play rugby to the required standard. It always catches me. You see the Football World Cup, and there's, I don't know how many teams are in that draw, and every time that comes around, there's always like a new fringe team who's playing really well, like Iraq or something, have managed to get together like 11 boys who can play really well. But in rugby, it just doesn't happen like that, does it? You need years of constant funding, and that's the tricky bit. I mean, if they could sort out the Pacific Island funding properly, those groups would be a lot more exciting. If you could get the Samoas and the Fijis even further ahead financially with them prep. Do you know what do you know all I could think as soon as I said Iraq was, Jesus, just add that to the list.
The Russians, the Iraqis.
All I need now is the Iranians.
But you talk about the length of time and the funding, that long road it is. That's why a load of unions put their funding into sevens programs, because they knew that road was shorter. They get the TV profile, the sponsorship can roll in sooner, and you get that rat-a-tat nature tournament. You're not waiting 4 years and then something goes wrong. So that's where we get the Alan Partridge idea for a program. Wales, Australia, Fiji, Georgia, possibly Uruguay, roam around the world every 4 years, play rugby against each other. the grand game.
It could
That's what we
conceivably
are.
be Georgia and Uruguay. It could conceivably be that, couldn't it?
Yes, it could
You
be.
know, just out of interest, did they announce where the pool games would be in each pool? Did they? What area of France?
France.
No, the first bloke come on and sold France. Well, he sold Bordeaux, and then I think he was coming up short on other places to go visit. He had to check his notes. But,
they haven't announced any of it yet. These are still to come. But look, don't get me wrong. Worst case scenario, we all get to go watch rugby in France. I am completely okay with that. If come 2023 we cannot do that, it means we still have very, very big pandemic problems. So
I don't want to talk about that.
Exactly. So let's keep it in perspective. New Zealand still favourites for the competition. France 7-2, England 4-1. So that
I think France will be favourites when that comes around.
Nah,
I'll put my money there.
above the All Blacks? No way.
Oh yeah,
and they're home.
Maybe better value.
They can't win 3 World Cups in a row.
I think France will be number 1 when that comes around.
That's bad. They missed one. Missed South Africa. But I just can't. I mean, France will be so good. I think they'll be so good on home soil, and if they grow on from where they are now, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh, Luca Bigi, Chow brothers, heading off. Anything you want to say before you go, Dean?
Is the show? Are we coming to a close here? Are we?
No. I'm just saying before you go.
Before you get back home.
Nothing particularly at the moment. No. I'll just say hi to Luca. He seems a little bit let down. Best captain I've ever played under. Legend.
Oh, that's so lovely. This is where Adam gets to spice things up by dropping in a couple of comments from the show that we haven't really got to yet. And any other things from Twitter. Brony Kazil, hope I pronounced that right. Thoughts on expanding the World Cup to 24 teams for 2027? I have an initial thought. It'll be a really, really long group stage, tell you that.
Yeah. And they'll feel meaningless.
Yeah.
Difficult to get them up to
big,
speed, isn't it? It's too, and it's difficult to get those teams up to speed because as much as we want more teams in there, you want more quality teams in there. You don't just want more fodder. But then you've got to start somewhere. So I don't know what the answer is.
Chicken or the egg, really. Like if the teams never get the chance to play, they'll never get better.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, there's not even at the moment. There's not room for all the Pacific nations to be in there. Like, there's plenty of talent out there. I mean, you could chuck a Brazil in, you could chuck a few more teams, and that would get a win again. I mean, I think it'd be a great idea to have one more team in there. It would. I mean, drags it out a few more weeks, absolutely, but it would blood a few more teams, and because teams would just never get the chance. World Rugby's not expanding any of the competitions as much as everyone's crying for it. So it's a bit of a hard one.
And tell you what, over the next few years, there's another angle to this. So when we think about the unions around the world that will need help and investment, and especially those tier 2 and developing countries, there ain't going to be as much money in the pot over the next few years in rugby. No. It's going to be a really tough struggle. So that might be an angle here that maybe we're not considering. But we want, ideally, yes, we want different names, different teams. We want excitement. We want upsets. And part of the challenge with rugby at the top level is that it's very hard to get an upset. Sean, I still can't take you seriously with that thing. Hold on. Breaking news. New picture alert. Dean, this could be it.
I can't wait for this.
The thing is, I'm getting them first.
Oh,
that's got to be retirement. That's got to be retirement.
You can't be happy with that.
He's looking down.
So,
I'm in bed and background
to this one. You're standing beside a pool. You're carrying a bit of timber, I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's off season. Very good. Oh no.
In Isle of Mali, is Rhys Ruddock making a case that's impossible to ignore for the Irish back row come the Six Nations? Sean Holley.
Yeah, I think so. You can't ignore the guy. He's playing a quality games. He's leading. He's doing all the things right. I suppose you have to ask the question, will he be able to produce it at the higher level? My answer is yes, I think he can. I think he's at the top of his game. Is O'Mahony and Stander, are they at the top of their game? I question that they're possibly not. Caelan Doris is a different animal.
Yeah.
And what Farrell's going to have to do, and we've discussed all about the Autumn Nations Cup, is start picking form players and seeing them in a green jersey, see if it makes a difference. Otherwise, you're into that insanity thing again, and you're doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Like you say, Peter O'Mahony, is he playing better than Rhys Rudder? I don't think he is.
I think he is.
WRU 286, which I'm presuming isn't a Welsh name. Doris or Coombs. Okay.
Doris is pretty special.
Yeah, Doris at the moment.
Doris at the moment, but Coombs not far away. Could push Doris to 6, but Tag Byrne, you're going to throw him in the mix.
Do you know, that's what I was going to say, Tag Byrne. I think he's wasted, playing second row. I know Munster have had to pick him there because of various injuries. But when he plays 6 and he's got a bit more freedom, he's amazing. It's he's wasted up in the row.
I don't know. I'm as a convert loose forwards a lot. I'm a big fan of pushing loosies in, like Coombs as well. If he's 6'6", get him in the row. Like, I mean, if the more ball, yes, 100% that they need to be doing their fundamental roles, cleaning rucks, doing the right things. But if they can do that and add pure value of ball carrying and explosiveness, I'm so for it, because every loose forward now is a line out option as well, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So I'm really for fiddling with those kind of players.
Unless you're Bastard playing 8 on the weekend. Imagine having a lift with players.
Fiddling with those kind of positions. I think there's a lot of flexibility in there. I mean, yeah, I finished my career in the loose. I mean, started as a lock, went to loose, came back to lock. Alizani, who I came with Italy, was a blindside for many years. Lack of talent, probably in the second row a little bit. He got shifted in there because he lost his little bit of an ability around the field. But to have that ball carrying ability and dynamicism of a loose forward in the row can be pretty good.
That was something that actually sounded heartfelt and maybe even born of rugby experience. We can't
exactly. Yeah,
right.
Not just a whimsical opinion of a man with reindeer antlers on. Can I just say as well, to show you how stupid I am sometimes, I've been looking around the room all pod, wondering why something's rattling, and it's my head because he's got bells on him. Jesus,
right, Dean Bud, it's time for us to. I think it's time for us to say bye and happy travels to your new life back in New Zealand. So tell all the people, when do you go?
Leaving on Thursday, so a couple of days left, and my missus has just rolled her ankle, so I'm flat out doing double the chores and cleaning up and everything I had to do. So it's a bit of a nightmare. She's got some crutches coming tomorrow, so timing's not ideal, but yeah, home and can't wait to just get into summer, get away from COVID for hopefully forever, and just live a bit of a normal life.
Well, my friend, it's been good having you along on the show. We've really enjoyed having you, and hopefully we'll get you on a show again, even at a weird time of the day for you, because we're not moving, so it has to be you. Okay.
I'll be in the comment sections throwing abuse,
just trolling us.
Yeah. Someone's
been a pleasure, Dino, mate. Wish you all the very best, and with your new career as well. Good luck with that. I'm sure you make a great success for it. You're a top man, and we've loved having you on the pod.
Yeah, we really have, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, guys, man. It's really appreciated.
So this is the last episode of Mr. Dean Bud. Maybe we'll tempt him back for a watch along someday. Who knows? And as super producer Adam Redmond says, where he's going, he don't need no vaccines. So we'll see how we all go. That is a wrap for today's show, where we had a bit of Christmas feel and a bit of sadness with Dean's heading off, and but a lot of good rugby to talk about. Load of games to talk about next week, but we'll talk about them next week. That is
cheetah, 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 alle Mann cheetah, cheetah.